Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm so glad you're here. If you're returning, thank you for coming back and joining me once again. It is summertime. So on this channel, you know, we talk about all things floral, and I'm trying to design a summer series for my website. And I thought, gosh, I would love to come up with some bright, like, colors, you know, to kind of embody, especially Florida, embody our hot Florida summer. So I found these cute, bright, colorful bowls at Publix, and I thought, well, I can do something with that. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I found. So this is what I found. Aren't these adorable? These are just the cutest, bright colored bowls, and I'm gonna design some flowers in them today and put them on my website, and I'm gonna call them my Fiesta flower bowls, and I think we're gonna list them for $55, and they'll be filled with kind of coordinating seasonal flowers that complement the colors on these bowls. But they are just the cutest things. And they're a very good size. They're a substantial size. They're quite a bit larger than a bubble bowl. So we're gonna be able to put a good number of flowers in them. But aren't the colors just so fresh and vibrant and just a tropical, you know, summer vibe? And I think these are really gonna do well for the next few months. All right, so here we have one of the bowls. I chose green today, and I removed all the stickers and washed it. And we're gonna put some soaked Oasis floral foam inside the bowl. And so I'm gonna try to get it to fit down in there. The piece of foam is just a little too wide. So we're gonna take our knife and we're gonna shape it a little bit so that it will fit nicely inside the bowl. You want it to be snug so it's in there nice and tight and doesn't move around, but you also want it to slide right down in there without damaging the foam. And the foam was just a little too tall. I do like the foam to stick out above the upper edge of the container, but I don't like it to be too much. So I am cutting off a little bit of the excess at the top. And so, you know, you want about a ½ inch to possibly an inch sticking up out of our container. And now I'm just shaping it, taking off the rough, you know, the square edges. I like it to be a rounded shape. It's just easier to design on, you know, a rounded shape as opposed to the squares, you know, the hard edges. And of course, we always tape down our foam into the container to hold everything in place so nothing topples out. That would be awful. And I'm just crisscrossing it across, and then I'm taking the tape and going around the entire edge of the container to just seal down the tape edges. And there's where that's how it looks. And trust me, that foam is not going anywhere. That's nice and secure now in that dish. right, so what we're doing is adding greenery, and we are hiding all of our mechanics. We want to make sure we hide those tape edges. We don't want our customer to see any of the work we put into it. We just want them to see the beauty. And this is leatherleaf fern, very common. I use it a ton. Most florists use it to green out their arrangements. It's a very beautiful foliage. It lasts and lasts forever, very hardy. And I am just going around the entire container and carefully placing the pieces of fern to mask that tape edge. And we're putting in some variegated pittosporum there, just a couple of little stems of that. I just love the color on that, and it provides some nice structure and texture. And then here you go with some gunite eucalyptus. It's just a light texture, and it has a nice downward turn, so it's beautiful right around the edge to kind of hang over the edge of the container and further mask the mechanics. So sometimes I find flower paint very useful, because you can take a white flower and you can pop it with a little bit of color, and you can get exactly what you need without having to order a special custom color. So here I'm just putting a little bit of orange or tangerine on my white mums to give it more of a tropical vibe, because I want to, in this container, I want to do yellows and oranges and just keep it kind of, you know, citrusy feeling. So I've got, I'm spraying some of the spider mums with the orange, and I'm going to do the same thing. There's a little hydrangea there, and I'm going to do the same thing with that. Give it a little, you don't want to cover it completely. You just want to give it a light spray to give it just a light dusting to keep it looking natural. You don't want it to look unnatural. So be careful when you use flower paint that you don't get too heavy-handed with it. And that's just quick dip. So especially with hydrangeas, you always want to dip them into a hydrating solution to help them take up water and stay hydrated. So I like to use a product called Quick Dip, and I use it on roses and hydrangea. Not all my flowers, but some, you know, several of them that I notice need extra hydration, or I just want to ensure that they keep drinking up the water to stay nice and hydrated. Adding just a few more spider mums there, and I've painted all of them with just a spritz of the tangerine. And now some pretty carnations. These are just so pretty. I love carnations. They last forever, and I love the ruffly petticoat feel that their petals have. I just think they're the most beautiful flower. So I try to use them, and they come in almost every color you can imagine. And this is, I only have one of these. So this is a yellow and kind of orangey red rose. And I'm gonna make that my top flower. I only have one in the studio, so I'm going to put it right high in the center and make it my focus. So what I'm doing here, sunflowers have a heavy head and they oftentimes are oddly shaped. You know, this one is drooping. So I'm taking an 18 gauge wire and I'm just sticking it into the base of that sunflower head and twisting around the stem, and that's going to give it some nice support, and it's going to allow me to shape that flower a little bit to get it to stand up the way I want it to stand up. And so now I can get it to stand up straight, and I'm putting it right in that arrangement next to the rose. So I've added in a variety of different flowers, some beautiful white roses. Those are hypericum berries. I remove the leaves off of them, and then they're branched. They have a lot of little, little branches. See, I'm showing one there, and I like to cut some of the larger ones off and use them separately. And there's clusters, there's nice clusters of berries on the end of all those little branches. So it just one stem, you get several clusters of berries from one stem, and it stretches your dollar a little bit. But the hypericum berries, I think, are just really cool in this arrangement. And I'm just placing them all around the flowers. I've got, there they are, there and there. Don't they look nice? It really sets it off. And so, I've got the, I'm putting a little bit more foliage in there. That's just a small stem of the leather leaf. But I've got the spider mums, I've got white roses, I've got the beautiful yellow and orange rose. That's my focal flower at the top. Hypericum berry, I've got hydrangea in there. We've got carnations and the sunflower, and there is a beautiful Gerber daisy, and that's kind of a greenish white. So that Gerber has already been wired, so I'm just putting in quick dip, and I'm going to add it into the arrangement, and I'm going to show you how to wire the next one. Gerbers I wire a little bit differently than I do roses or sunflowers. I put the wire up through the center of the stem, so I'll show you that in a minute here with the next Gerber. So here's this one, and I'm going to put two in this arrangement, I told you these Fiesta bowls are a good size. They hold a lot of flowers. So I'm removing the straw that comes from the wholesaler on the flowers. It just protects them, but the straws are kind of ugly. So I remove the straw, and you can see how the stem is weak and it's oddly shaped. Again, Gerbers have a heavy head and they just kind of go squirrely. Now I'm taking an 18 gauge wire, cutting the Gerber to the length I want it first to get rid of the excess stem. Then I'm taking that wire, and a Gerber stem is hollow. So you can run that wire right up through the center of that stem. And you just have to hold it and be careful because it goes in easily at first, but as you get up closer to the flower head, you've got to be careful because the stem starts to bend weird ways, and you've got to kind of work that wire up through. Now this time it came out of the stem up top, but that's okay. So what I did is I just pushed it up into the flower head, and you can see it poked through the top a little bit right there. So I'm just going to pull it back a little bit so you can't see that wire at all. You can see pulling it back. Now it disappeared, but it is all the way up through the head of that flower, and now we've got beautiful support. So your Gerber will not bend over or, you know, get all slumpy on you when you try to use it in the arrangement. I just cut off the excess there at the end, and you can see most of the wire is hidden up through the center of the stem, and only at the very top did it come out. I mean, if you can get it all the way up through the center, up through to the bloom, that's ideal. And I can do that usually, but sometimes if it comes out at the top, that's all right. Just continue to push it up through the flower head. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? The two of them together there in a line. I like that a lot. All right, I'm adding some more carnations here. These are just white. They're kind of a creamy white. I'm just kind of filling in spaces that I see with additional flowers. And I told you these bowls, they're good size. They hold a lot of flowers. They really do. So we have got a good mix of flowers here. And there it is. And I'm just going to continue to add the rest of my flowers. Here we've got some little mini carnations and some more Hypericum berry that I'm going to add in and just finish out this arrangement. here's our finished product. And I am going to take this over to the church and set it on one of our little drum tables in the lobby for this Sunday's services. But here you go. Look at all the beautiful flowers. And then I added in some flyaways for movement, which is just some additional gunny eucalyptus and the little mini carnation buds. You kind of see them sticking up. And here it is at the church on the little drum table. I like to have fresh flowers for Sunday services over at the church. And it just is the perfect size for that particular table. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.